When people talk about moving to Ottawa and wanting character, everyone points to the exact same places. The Glebe, Westboro, Old Ottawa South. But to be really honest with you, unless you have a very healthy budget or you want to deal with intense traffic and really difficult time parking, those spots are not for everyone. Ottawa actually has some incredibly unique pockets that offer quite a different lifestyle that you can't really get anywhere else in the city. And if you're moving to Ottawa or you're maybe even just looking for a bit of a change, here are 7 unique areas in Ottawa that doesn't really get, I find, enough attention. So first up, we're heading west to Stittsville to a place called Amberwood Village. So walking around here in the summer almost feels like a Florida vacation resort, but right here in the eastern cold Ontario. It's built around a 9-hole golf course. You have pickleball courts, a 60-foot heated saltwater pool. It even has an on-site restaurant called Ale, which is a massive summer hub for the whole community. And a lot of the homes here are just beautiful condo bungalows with massive 4-season sunrooms. Now, there are a couple of detached homes kind of sprinkled in here and there. And this is technically an adult lifestyle community. So you might not find many kids. And while anyone can buy here, it was engineered for downsizers and retirees who want a country club vibe where, the condo fees handle all of the lawn care and the snow removal. If you do buy a home here, you can join the Amberwood Village Residents Association and you get priority access to all of the club amenities. So just be prepared. Those resort style parks basically mean that you're going to be paying a higher than average monthly condo fees. It is really just truly such a unique and beautiful part of Ottawa. It almost feels like a closed, gated community. And when you look at the street coming into the village, it really actually doesn't even appear to lead to all of this. Now let's talk about Avalon in Orleans. Now, I know a lot of people just write off Avalon as a standard suburban neighborhood, but it has these genius little micro pockets that are built almost like a community square. So if you look around Southfield Way, Vista Way, and Parkland, the layout is pretty unique compared to what you would normally see. You have a ton of condo townhouses that are, ranging from 2 to 3 bedrooms. Sometimes they even have a little bit of a backyard. But really what makes this stand out is just the overall layout. You have townhouses kind of in a square, and typically what you'll find is a little park kind of in the middle and schools very close by. So it's incredibly safe for the kids. It forces neighbors to almost interact and give kids an incredibly, safe, almost car-free zone to play. It's also pretty affordable for not just first-time buyers, but young families and even single parents. Now, if you do love this concept, but you want to stay a little bit more west, there is a very similar pocket like this in Stittsville near the Fairwinds community. So the townhouses literally face the park as if it's their own private little front yard. And it's just a really unique, cute little neighborhood. It is really pretty during the summer too. Google Maps, unfortunately, is not doing it justice with this being captured in November. And there's usually also 2 to 3 bedroom townhouses here with the garage or parking access from the back as opposed to the front. Sticking in Orleans, if you want a double car garage, a massive lot, and absolute silence, you need to look at Chapel Hill North. The real selling point here is all of the greenery. There are entire streets where thick patches of the forest growing right between the rows of houses. And with some of the houses, instead of staring into your neighbor's kitchen window or backyard, your backyard opens into a gorgeous mature forest with cleared walking trails right outside your door. It's mostly single-family detached homes up here, and you are incredibly close to one of the local high schools, which actually ranks an 8.5 on the Fraser Institute. So a little bit of a massive win for your kids' education. Chapel Hill North is incredibly close to the highway as well. So you get to skip all of that extra, 15, 20 minutes of traffic that you would get if you were living in more of the southern parts of Orleans. Now, for something completely different, you're going to want to check out Britannia Village. Now, some parts of the broader Britannia area get a little bit of a bad reputation for property crime stats. The actual village pocket does, however, give a different lifestyle that a typical Ottawa suburb just can't compare to. Of course, you're incredibly close to the beach, obviously, but if you look over near Rowan Street, for example, there are some really great townhomes by Britannia Beach, and some have beautiful green spaces right in the backyard with views towards the beach. And in this little nook right over here, there's even a small sandy area with water access for everyone to enjoy. So it's really unique to have that practically right in your backyard. Over on Jamieson Street, you're going to find more apartment style buildings, and If you've ever been to White Rock near Vancouver, for example, I would say it has a little bit of a similar feel. It's almost coastal in a way, which is not something that you would expect to find in Ottawa. Then if you look over on Keogh Street, you're going to see more townhouses with French doors opening directly onto green space, sandy nooks, and even water access. This area also gives you pretty easy access to the Mud Lake Nature Reserve, the Britannia Yacht Club. There's even winter ski trails right there. And in the summer, you can always enjoy the beach corners for local ice cream or the Baja Burger Shack. It's literally right on the sand, directly on the beach. It really feels like a summer vacation in this spot whenever you visit it. Now, of course, given the location, these homes are technically in the Ottawa River floodplain, so you can certainly expect to pay more for your insurance, but the new homes are said to be engineered on massive concrete foundations and retaining walls to handle the water. Heading back to the west end of Ottawa, let's take a look at Heritage Hills and the Canada Lakes pocket. Google Maps, again, does not do this area justice whatsoever because you have to actually experience the topography. This entire neighborhood is built on a pretty decent hill. And because of the rock and the elevation, the homes here escape the flat, cookie cutter look of most Ottawa developments. There is such a beautiful mix of townhomes and custom feeling detached properties on pretty generously sized lots. But honestly, the real draw here is the view. The elevation gives you this incredible vantage point and stellar sunset views. This neighborhood is incredibly sought after actually for two reasons. So first, you're quite close to the South March Highlands, which has some of the best biking trails. And not to mention, you're quite close to the main shopping over at the Canada Centrum as well. And you're pretty easy access to Stittsville. Second, it's zoned for some of Ottawa's top-ranked schools like Earl of March and All Saints. Now, if you're wanting deep historic character, we have to talk about New Edinburgh. Walking along Stanley Avenue right near the Ottawa River has such a different feel from most of Ottawa. To me, parts of it almost feels like Brooklyn or Boston, and you have, mature trees. There's a lot of older homes with just so much character, so much greenery, and even the street signs have a little bit of extra decorative detail to them. A large part of New Edinburgh is a heritage conservation district, which basically means the area has special heritage protection because of its history and its architecture. Though I don't want to turn this into a full history lesson, but New Edinburgh dates back to the 1800s and is actually closely tied to Thomas Mackay. He was one of the builders connected to the Rideau Canal lock system. He bought the land where the Ottawa and Rideau rivers meet and helped create the village of New Edinburgh. So really what that means is you're going to see everything from smaller historic cottages to larger brick homes, older apartment buildings, and just grander character, I would say, that, feel very different from the newer suburban builds. And location-wise, this pocket is pretty special. You are near, the Rideau Hall, you're close to 24 Sussex Drive, you're close to the river, and close to some really beautiful walking routes. And last but definitely not least is the Calicum neighborhood. This neighborhood was built on old farmland, and you can still feel that in the way that the area is laid out. So the lots are larger, the streets feel definitely quiet, and there is a lot more breathing room than you usually get in the city. The architecture here has a lot of mid-century character, and some of these homes honestly remind me a little bit of the homes you'd see in Home Alone. Graham Creek actually runs through some of the private backyards here, so you're going to see homes with little custom wooden footbridges just to get from one side of the yard to the other. This neighborhood also has one of Ottawa's most interesting architectural stories. So on Calicum Street, architect James Strutt designed a circular mid-century home that was literally built around a living tree, which is pretty cool. And even though Calicum feels kind of very tucked away, it does sit right near the Queensway Carleton Hospital and some of the West End amenities. So you get that quiet, established, almost countryside feeling. I would kind of compare it to a little bit of Manotick, but you are still very connected to the rest of the city. So no, Ottawa is not just the same style suburb repeated over and over again. We are not just a cookie cutter, city. You just have to know really where to look. I will leave my Ottawa area finder linked below. And of course, if you're planning a move here or you're trying to figure out where you actually fit in the city, you can always reach out.